Welcome, everybody, to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. Once again, I'm your host, Ross Benjamin, and I'm joined by my two esteemed colleagues today. It's our live show, Mr. Jesse Schule and Mr. Sean Higgs, all three of us of gamblersworld.net, which is our sponsor site. Not only will you find us three at that great site, but you'll also find 7 other of the finest handicappers in the country, including ourselves. And where you also get our personal guarantee that if you don't win, you don't make a profit on any single game or multi-game daily packages or all subscription plans of 30 days or fewer. We will credit your account back the exact amount of your purchase price, and you can use that any which way you like, folks, on any handicapper you wish at any time you wish. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're watching because you like sports betting. I am very biased when I say this, but I am confident as well when I say in this particular format, the best sports betting show or sports betting podcast you're going to find on the internet today. And we have tremendous guests on this show, including these two gentlemen. And also, all you need to do is hit that black subscribe button underneath your video box, and that will get you subscribed. It's absolutely free to do so. No hidden agenda, no strings attached. And if you're on your PC, you'll see a WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That stands for the Winner's Circle. Click on that. That'll serve the same purpose of getting you subscribed free. Also, folks, I would ask that you take one step further, not only for the new subscribers, but also those of you who have subscribed, which we appreciate each and every one of you. But we would recommend highly that if you haven't done this already, go into your YouTube settings and click on that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel. And you'll be notified immediately upon any of our 6 shows weekly going up right here on our channel. Jesse, how are you, my man?
I'm doing well, Ross, doing well. I'm really looking forward to passing you on the college basketball leaderboards this week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm still seeing you in that rear view mirror, but I know that you're right on my behind, brother. And it's going to be a big challenge, not only to hold you off, but to hold Sean off and the rest of the guys. All great handicappers over at gamblersworld.net. Speaking of Sean, how are you, my man?
Not too bad, although I'm not up there with college basketball yet. I'm haven't had a bad season in the other sports. Yes, we'll be there. Yeah. Slow and steady, gentlemen. Win the race. I'll get you guys eventually. Well, we'll see. You know me. I don't want to be overconfident.
Yeah, I've had a big lead at top of the leaderboard since we started the site, or for the majority of time we started the site after the first couple weeks anyway. But boy, oh boy, Chip Chirimbus is making a run, man. Watch out for the old timer, Mr. Chirimbus. He's red hot right now, so keep an eye on him, folks, as well as us three. And like I said, the other 6 great handicappers as well. Here's what we got for you today. We got a little extra segment here in terms of our picks. We're going to be looking at the 2 NFL games that Jesse and Sean will be covering between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, and also the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. And I'll be giving my opinions after their analysis on that game as well. Those games, I should say. Also in college football, we're going to look at the side. We're going to look at the total. We're going to look at a first half bet in the college football national championship game to be played on Monday. So let's get right to it. And then don't forget, folks, come in with your questions and comments as soon as we're done with our picks and analysis. Hopefully we have a stack of those up that we could address. All of you are very opinionated, to say the least, on a lot of our archives that we put up on the channel. This is your opportunity to chime in with your questions and comments and get an immediate answer, rather than waiting for us until we finally see it, because our eyes aren't on our archives after we do them 24/7. This is your chance where we could see what you have to say. And I can guarantee you one of us will have a good answer for you, or one that you may not like as well. So that's what makes the show interesting. All right, let's get right to it. Let's start with the national championship game between Washington and Michigan on Monday evening. Jesse, you're assigned to pick a team total in this game. And Washington right now, their over and under is 24.5. And Michigan, on the other hand, is 30.5. So what say you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm going to look at the Washington team total over 24.5, I believe is the number. Michigan's defense ranked number one in scoring in the country. They held opponents to less than 10 points per game during the regular season. But I will point out, in the Big Ten, they faced a lot of really poor offensive teams. They played a lot of games in outdoor stadiums on natural grass in a setting that is conducive to low-scoring games. I think the stadium itself plays a big role here. Playing on the fast track, indoors, in a dome, in Houston, Energy Stadium. For an offensive team that likes to pass the ball, that could be a bit of an advantage for Washington. And you look at Alabama last week in the Rose Bowl, they couldn't get anything going in the passing game, but the center had trouble snapping the ball. Jalen Milroe couldn't get the ball out fast enough. I don't think you're going to see that from the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. And it's not that the offensive line, I'm not so keen on the offensive line as much as the veteran quarterback, Michael Penix, just getting the ball out in a hurry, avoiding pressure by getting it out quickly. And, based on what I've seen in the past in national championship games, the team with the better quarterback usually does pretty well. And I've seen a lot of strong performances from the likes of Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, you name it. Usually this is a spot where quarterbacks come to shine. I think that Washington's going to have some success moving the ball, and they're going to score some points. Penix Jr. over 300 yards in 11 of 14 games this season. I know Michigan's defense is the best they're going to have faced so far, but I'm not sure there is a defense for a quarterback that's fast to get the ball out and as accurate and as poised as Michael Penix Jr. has been so far. So I'm taking Washington over 24.5.
Washington over their team total of 24.5. That's at money line odds of minus 125. I agree with some of the points that Jesse makes, especially with Michael Penix. He reminds me of Kurt Warner, a left-handed Kurt Warner, the way he gets the ball out so quickly. You remember when Kurt Warner came in the league, Sean, and how quick he got the ball out? And that was like one of the big things that caught everybody's eye for an unknown quarterback. And a lot of that he attributed to playing in the Arena League, where, you have to get rid of the ball quick. And you're almost assuredly going to get hit. So anyway, but again, Michigan's defense, I would say the only remedy, Jesse, to what you're saying in terms of how quickly he gets rid of the ball and how accurate it is you have to have good cover corners, and Michigan's got that. So we'll see. Sean, your take?
Yeah. Can I go? I like everything you said about Washington, and I'll go right into my thing because I like Washington here. It's what else is there to say? Yeah, this is the best defense they'll face, but the Texas defense was pretty good. And Penix, for as much as Washington was thought of as down and out coming into the, Pac-12 championship game, they're 10-point underdogs. Everybody thought they were left for dead, and here comes Penix, and then in the semis, just dropping dimes through the air. Just pinpoint passes like ridiculous. Now, is it going to be some kind of crazy shootout? No, I think Michigan's going to want to run the ball. Jesse mentioned the center problems. I'll tell you what, Alabama, that cost them over there. Holy cow. That's not going to be a problem, Michigan, though. And let's be honest, we saw Michigan run the ball like maniacs to tell Penn State, oh, you think you can stop us? And they just said, we'll just run the ball and pummel you to death. I think this is a spot where they're not going to do it to kind of spite a team, but they're going to do it to say, hey, we can't have this guy on the field all that much because, we're pretty good. But this guy, the Texas defense was pretty good. Maybe it's not Michigan, but I think the offense is in the Big 12 a little more wide open, guys running all over the place like they're chickens with their heads cut off, and you're going to give up points there. I think Michigan's going to say, hey, let's try to keep him off the field. Limited action, but I'm taking the points here. I think this is going to be a field goal type game either way. I'm one of them. I had written off Washington the way they played down the stretch. I thought he was hurt or just injured. I can't say that now. And it's a tough one too, because it's part of me is like, wow, Michigan played like garbage for most of the game and still won. And usually when you pull stunts like that against Alabama, that's going to adjust itself, and whoever you got next, it's going to be a big kind of win. But Michigan, listen, either one of these teams, come on, two undefeated teams, can't really complain about the playoffs. You got two undefeated teams, a great offense, a great defense. Should be a good game. I'm going to take the points here, though, with Washington.
All right, so Sean Higgs likes Washington plus 4.5, and Sean, 99% of the time I cheer for you, but I'm sorry, buddy. I got to go against you this one. Here's the thing. I'm in a wise guy contest with Mark Lawrence's wise guy contest, and there's 47 contestants. I'm tied for second with Mark Lawrence, actually, and we're 1 point behind a gentleman named Scott Wetzel.
Rigged. Mark Lawrence is in. That's rigged. Yeah. It's fixed.
Scott Wetzel, who's used to be on Mad Dog Radio every day. So I have the Michigan Wolverines. We get 2 3-point picks throughout the 18 weeks of the contest, and I got Michigan as a 3-star pick this week. So Sean, we're not that powerful. We can control the result, but I'm sorry, I'm against you on this one, buddy. But anyway, our official pick is on Michigan minus the 4.5. All right, let me get to my 2 picks in the college football playoff game. Then we'll get to the NFL. I have a first half pick in this contest, and I also have the winning total in this contest as well. Michigan minus 2.5 and 27.5 is the first half line. I'm looking at a Michigan team that's allowed 10 points or less in all 14 games during first half action this year. This is also a Michigan team that's gone 6-0 straight up in ATS this year as a first half favorite of 11.5 points or less, which they are in this instance. Like I said, they're minus 2.5. And they win those 6 games by 11.2 points per game. Or I should say they outscored their opponents in the first half of those 6 games by 11.2 points per game. Washington, their last 6 games, this is a concerning factor for me with Washington. They've allowed 18.5 points per game during the first half of their last 6 games. And I already rattled off Michigan's defensive numbers, 10 points or less in all 14 games of the first half this year. I realized that Washington's going to be playing a whole different animal and a whole different quarterback. But I also would contend and argue with anybody, this is the toughest defense that Michael Penix in the Washington offense will face all season long. So I'm going to take Michigan here in the first half, minus 2.5. Getting to the total right now is 56.5. This is a Michigan team that's gone under the total in all 4 games this year when the total's been 52 or greater, and there's only been 41.5 points per game scored. Michigan's also allowed 24 points or fewer in all 14 games this year. And here's the big key, because we talk about Michael Penix. And again, I realize that Washington's pass attack is going to be the toughest that Michigan's faced all year, but you can't ignore the fact this Wolverines team has allowed 200 yards or less passing in 12 of 14 games this year. Now, some of that could be attributed to the pass rush. Some of that can be attributed to them putting teams in unfavorable down and distances. However, at some point when you allow less than 200 yards in 12 of 14 games, you have to give some credit to the secondary, and they got some very good cover guys there. This is also a Michigan team that's forced 24 turnovers this year, and also a Michigan team. They've scored 31 points or less in their last 5. And I know, why would you even bring that up, Ross? Because 31 points isn't exactly a low amount. Well, because in the prior 4 games before that, the prior 5 games before that, they had scored 41 points or more. So their offense, as the competition got tougher down the stretch, wasn't quite as potent, but they're also very good at controlling tempo. Michigan, 32 minutes and 27 seconds in terms of time of possession. They're a very well-balanced team between run and pass. And I like this game to go under 56.5. I know I'm going to be in a vast minority. So my 2 picks in the college football championship game is to take Michigan -2.5 in the first half over Washington, and the full game total on Washington and Michigan to go under 56.5. Any thoughts, Jesse?
Yeah, I want to ask you about this, Ross.
Yep.
Michigan has gone over the total in 16 of their last 21 games at a neutral site. And it strikes me that most of these neutral site games are going to be in these big NFL dome type stadiums like Jerry World and Houston and some of these, on a fast track. Do you think that makes a big difference to the total?
No,
the indoor stadium?
Yeah, and it's a good point that you bring up, and I appreciate that. But this isn't the same Michigan team that's played the majority of those 21 games. If you think about it, they play a neutral site game if they get to the Big Ten championship game, which has been the case over the last 3 years, if not more. I don't have
usually at Lucas Oil Stadium that they play that, right?
Yeah, right. And then they also might play one neutral site game early in the year and not every year. So that 16-5 to the over is a great stat. And it's a great point to bring up, and it's a great question. But when it comes to college football trends, even with the NFL, I like to look at the current coaching staff, which has been intact, okay? But also these kids in this day and age of transfer portals and leaving early for the NFL, you don't have the continuity, So I don't put a lot of stock in that. It's a great question, but if you're asking my answer to it, respectfully, my answer is it's a non-factor to me. So, Sean, your take?
I'm on the under. I got a 55.5. Again, I think Michigan's going to run the ball. I think Washington's playing a good defense. And I think it's going to be somebody gets into the high 20s, maybe 30. But I'm hoping for a Washington 30-27. And that's a little too high, I guess. 29, 24.
You got it at 55.5. It's 56.5 now, Sean. So just so you know,
I know it's gone up. I think Michigan's going to run a ball. I think
I'm with you on the under. I'm with you on the under, buddy. So it's not like I'm trying to talk you out of it. But
I was just trying to think of the score. I'm like, because I'm torn because I think Michigan. I saw their performance. Like, wow, they looked really good, but I don't know, man. Sometimes nobody's giving Washington any respect. It's kind of like Michigan last week. Everybody wanted Alabama.
When I look at the splits in different sites that I look at that give you and again, the public wins sometime, right? We all know that. But I don't know about in terms of not getting any respect. I've heard nothing but Washington picks from a lot of the talking heads on the national network. And if you look at the splits, a consensus of the splits on the point spread, the majority of money and the majority of tickets have gone to the underdog in this matchup. So I don't know if I agree with you there. I think leading up to this, I agree with you, Sean, and I know somebody's going to chime in because they mentioned it last week, and rightfully so, that I've gone against Washington on several occasions this year. And it's got nothing to do with disrespect. I've been wrong a couple times. I had them against Oregon in a Pac-12 championship game. I went against them last week. I was wrong. So it's not a matter of that. It's not a matter of me having a vendetta for a team. It's just I take every individual week as its own entity. All right. So let's get into the NFL. Sean, while I have you here, you're going to be looking at the Bears and the Packers. And that's an interesting matchup. The Bears playing very good ball down the stretch. The Packers with a win, believe it or not, they're in. And the only concern, and I don't want to take your thunder away in this matchup, can the Green Bay Packers at least keep the Chicago Bears running game in check? Because that's definitely their vulnerability on defense, meaning the Packers, and it's definitely the Bears' strength on offense. What say you, my friend? Right now, the Green Bay Packers are a 3-point favorite, and the total is 45.
I like the over in this game because I don't think Green Bay couldn't win last year. They lost to the Lions in the last second end of the year kind of situation. And I don't think this team's any better. Jordan Love's had a great season. That's fine. The defense, they should have lost last week if Minnesota, even though they're in a playoff hunt, decides to get a guy off the street, basically, in a rookie who just hasn't thrown a pass. Let's let our season ride on that guy. That's a whole different ballgame if Nick Mullins starts that game. And the Bears, to me, are a team playing with house money, playing good. You got a coach maybe on the hot seat, a quarterback they're looking to dump. I mean, those guys got a little chip on their shoulders personally. They're going to want to go out and give a little extra because they're going to be on the trade block or just cut or free agents or whatever the case would be. I mean, this has got an overwritten all over it. Bears defense is vastly improved, but I don't know if Green Bay is going to be able to stop anything on their side of the ball. I'll go over.
All right. So Sean likes Chicago and Green Bay to go over the total of 45. I can't blame him. I think he makes some very compelling points in that regard. You're also looking at a Green Bay team that's gone over the total, Jesse, in their last 6 games. And the Chicago Bears have gone over in their last 2. And as a matter of fact, when Justin Fields has been the Bears starter this year because he missed some time because of injury, they played 8-4 to the over. Jesse, your take?
Yeah, I'm on board with the over as well, as long as the weather is okay. I wanted to be on Green Bay in this game just based on the playoff implications, the fact that Chicago has just been eliminated. But you look at their lineup, you look at how many guys are listed as questionable. They're thin at running back again, and as Sean mentioned, I actually really think that what was Minnesota doing not starting Nick Mullins last week? I see somebody in the comments said Nick Mullins isn't that good. Yeah, well, he's better than a rookie that's never thrown the ball. And right. Like I said on this show, that Nick Mullins turns the ball over, sure, but when you throw for 350 yards per game, you got to accept a couple turns. I mean, it's better than the alternative of not moving the ball and not being able to score. So certainly Minnesota had a better chance with Nick Mullins. It baffles the mind that they would throw their playoff chances away like that. But
and then
I'll go over.
Yeah, and Jesse, to your point, and then they fall behind by 20 points at the half, and they put Nick Mullins in. And how fair is it to the kid to make judgment on him down 20 with the defense knowing that they're going to be one-dimensional? So yeah, your point's well taken. So let me go over our picks. Once again, Jesse likes the Washington team total over 24.5 in the national championship game against Michigan. And Jesse also likes, where are we here? Jesse, your pick in the NFL was, where are we here? Oh, we didn't give it out yet. No wonder I don't have it.
I'll give out the pick right now.
Yeah, man, too many picks today. Guys, I'm confused. As always. All right, Jesse, let's get to that game real quick so we can get all of these questions and comments. The Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. And as we say in Western New York, will we squish the fish? I don't know. Miami is a 2.5-point favorite. Total 48.5. It's all on the line, Jesse. AFC division champion. The Miami Dolphins, who had that looked like an insurmountable lead to win the division. And here they are. If they lose this game, they're going to drop all the way to, I believe, a number 6 seed or number 5 seed. Now, Buffalo, if they win, they're the number 2 seed. If they lose and Pittsburgh and Jacksonville wins, they're out. They're out. Jesse, tell me, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's all coming together nicely for Buffalo. They're the hot team. They've been playing great lately. They're healthier than Miami. You look at Miami's lineup right now. They got 12 starters on both sides of the ball listed as questionable. They've struggled. They're coming limping into this game. They don't look good. And look back to last year, right here, Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins, week 2. Buffalo dominates the game, outgains them by 150 some odd yards, dominates time of possession, finds a way to lose somehow. But what's significant about that game is since that game, Miami has played 30 games, 1 win against a team with a winning record, and that was a late field goal against Dallas. There's no way that I can bet on a team that's beaten one team with a winning record in their last 30 games, especially with 12 starters potentially listed on the injury list. It's all Buffalo for me. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Bills.
Waddle's banged up. They lost Bradley Chubb for the year. For whatever reason, the mad professor over there, the head coach in Miami, decided he was going to continue to play Bradley Chubb with a 30-point deficit last week at Baltimore, and he blows his knee out. Phillips, the other starting defensive end, he's out. But Jesse likes Buffalo -2.5. Sean, your favorite quarterback, Josh Allen, who I know that you have not been high on, and that's okay. I mean, look, we all have our strong opinions, and I respect yours as always. But Josh Allen's got some massive numbers in his career against Miami, and it's even better at Miami. And Jesse alluded to the fact they lost 21-19 at Miami last year when they couldn't get lined up for a field goal and win the game because Isaiah McKenzie decided he needed to make extra 5 yards and stay in bounds, and the clock ran out. Anyway, my point being is Allen's numbers are even better in the games in Miami. Miami banged up on defense. I don't know. I don't want to be too biased. I want to hear your opinion, Sean. Humble me.
Listen, I'm biased towards Allen because he's been bad sometimes. But let's be honest, since they got rid of their coordinator, this team has fought every single week, and short of a last-second loss to Denver on a ridiculous field goal that they had missed it and then they redid it to make it or something, and then the Philly loss that they blew. This has been as good as any team in the league. I'm not saying they're better than the Ravens or the Niners, but they've played like they should have played to start the year, as they were a Super Bowl kind of a contender. Why wouldn't you like him this game? You really like what you've seen out of Miami the last couple of weeks?
Well, I mean you beat
the Cowboys, whose coach makes bonehead plays. That's not a real win. Jesse alluded to them not beating the team.
If you want to be the devil's advocate, and I'll let you continue, before we get carried away, they're playing as good as anybody in the league. When all the stuff that I've heard, I'm going to be honest. The last 2 weeks against New England and the Chargers, they haven't looked very good. They only won because they're playing against terrible teams.
The Patriots
been a
game,
lack of consistency.
Let's be honest. Yeah. Patriots game was they were pretty up. Were they up 24-10 in that game? And then they knew they were winning that game. They have to win this game to make the playoffs. They knew that game was it was what, 24-13 something. That game wasn't close. They got behind 7-0. Next thing you know, it's 20-7 or something in that game. They
returned the opening kickoff. New England for a touchdown.
And that was that. And come on. And the Dallas game, they dominated Dallas in that game. The Charger game, you go on the road, whatever. You knew you're going to get a punch from the Chargers with a new head coach or interim and embarrassed on national TV. They know their game. They don't have to come out here and cover games when they're 14-point favorites on the road or whatever. They just had to win. This is the game they have to win. And that's the bottom line here. And if you like the way Miami's playing their injury, you can't like what you see out of Miami right now. I don't like Miami. I'm a home dog kind of guy. Give me the Bills with you.
Yeah. I am not. I'm going to stay away from a pick here because of my bias. I want to maintain my professionalism here and trust on these two guys here to make the pick. And especially Jesse, his is the official pick. He likes Buffalo -2.5. Sean, you make some great points. And, and I'm going to leave it at this and we'll get to the questions. I hear all these criticisms of Josh Allen this year. Okay. And I'm certainly not been an advocate of at times him playing hero ball, especially early in the year. But I would challenge all of you, all these big names. I'm going even Lamar Jackson. Okay. And you look at the total touchdowns produced by NFL quarterbacks this year, combination running and passing. All right. He's had more, he's accounted for more touchdowns than any NFL quarterback in the league right now. Okay. Now, you want to count his turnovers in? Well, then take the touchdowns he's produced, subtract the turnovers he's produced, and it comes up with a plus number. Okay. Compare that to the other guys, and he's right in the mix. And here's a guy who didn't even make the AFC Pro Bowl team. Give me a freaking break. Anyway. All right, so there you have it. Let me go over these real quick again, like I tried to do the first time, and I could assure you this time we all made our picks. All right, so
not
Sean,
biased at all till Jeff Allen. Apparently, he's the MVP of the league.
No, there's no bias. No bias at all. I didn't say he's the MVP. I didn't say he's the MVP,
of course.
But
I didn't realize you were his agent. I guess it's something.
I'll tell you what.
Part-time agent for Josh Allen.
Number one, and I'm going to piss here. I'm going to be accused of being racist. I can guarantee you. Josh Allen, I would take him any day over Lamar Jackson. The only quarterback I would take over Josh Allen right now is Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes isn't enjoying his finest season, but Patrick Mahomes also doesn't have the talent surrounding him right now that he's had in past years, and they're still pretty damn good. But I can guarantee you will release Josh Allen tomorrow, there will be at least 30 NFL general managers on the phone wanting to know how they could pick him up. So there you have it. In any event,
who's Lamar been throwing to besides Mark Everett? Who's that guy at?
Yeah, but okay. But what's it? Look at his passing numbers compared to Allen. Okay, look at his rushing numbers. His rushing yards are higher only because there's more design runs for him. And no, I'm not here to tell you that he's more mobile than Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen's more mobile than him. He's not. He's not. But when you look at the overall numbers, I challenge you, Sean, in our next show, look at the overall numbers.
Now we're talking about numbers. Super.
Yeah, you look at the overall numbers.
Good.
And this guy has produced more touchdowns combined passing and running in his 5 years in the league than any quarterback has ever produced in the NFL in their first 5 years. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's not a bias. It's a fact. Anyway, all right, here's our picks. We're going. Yeah, well, it's. See what I mean, Jim?
And we all like Buffalo.
Mr. Quinn.
We're getting excited, but we all do like Buffalo.
Thank God we didn't pick Miami. Oh my God!
Bears and Green Bay.
New people on the video on Tuesday.
Sean, Bears and Green Bay over 45. Sean, Washington Huskies plus 4.5 over Michigan. Jesse, my Buffalo Bills minus 2.5. Jesse, Washington over the team total of 24.5 against Michigan. Ross, first half bet on Michigan minus 2.5. Ross, Michigan and Washington under 56.5. Okay, let's get to the questions and comments. All right, Jesse gets in there with let's go, and he got the ball club all riled up. Ninja's in. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my friend. We all enjoy having you every week. Husky win, total go over. Michigan win, it go under. Yeah, I guess. I don't think we need to comment on that. Husky win outright. We already covered that game, so you know our feelings there. Love the Husky over. That's Jesse. And me and Sean disagree with him on that, but that's what makes the show great. Ninja, UConn minus 4.5 versus Butler tonight. That game was, when I put it in today, I got Butler plus 6, Ninja, if it means anything to you. Total up to 144, dropped to 142, back to 144. I'm leaning over 144. Guys, any thoughts on the UConn and Butler game?
Something's going on there with the line movement. It scares me away. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it just from the fact this is a Butler team that's 8-0 at home. And believe it or not, Butler has played substantially the stronger schedule as opposed to UConn. So I thought that there was some home underdog value there. We'll see what pans out. Seth Chills, what's up from Memphis? Good, Seth. How are you? Thank you for joining us today. V2 Keith, go blue. I agree with you, buddy. I agree. I need big money, Keith, on Michigan. All right. Hawks versus Pacers total at 263 is the NBA total, out of control right now. I think that, honestly, these two teams, combination of good offense and horrible defense. And I just think at some point you got to start going under in these games, right, Sean, when they start elevating the number that high? I'm not saying particularly tonight, but I would say that keep an eye on that.
I mean, most times we say when we see stuff like this, you just be like, wow, they're trying to scare you off it. But I can't go over 263 with that.
I've got a video up on that game, on that total at gamblersworld.com right now that they can check out if they're interested in that total. And I give some statistics about what you can expect when totals get that high.
All right, Jeff Hunter, Akron minus 9.5 against Bowling Green. Yeah, I almost used that game, Jeff. And I know Bowling Green is 10-3, but a very deceiving 10-3. They've played one of the weakest schedules in the country, and that's not the case with Akron. But you two gentlemen have any opinion on Akron and Bowling Green tonight in college basketball?
None here.
None. All right.
I would lean on that dog.
Ahmed, I'm mad of that Alabama ain't playing in this game. That said, lean UW plus 4.5. Well, you're on the same side with Sean and Jesse on this one. I'm on the opposite side, my friend. So you got good backing with these two gentlemen.
Sean, should we tell him what AF means?
Yeah. That's AF is a curse word. Mad as F.
Okay. Nature Boy. Whoa. Okay. Whatever that means.
That's a Nature Boy. Ric Flair.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for joining us, Nature Boy. Seth Chills, Nick Mullins is not good. We already addressed that. Jesse was pretty emphatic on his opinions there. John Putnam, any idea on Mississippi State and South Carolina game tomorrow in hoops? I haven't got that far. Sean and Jesse may have. Guys, anything you want to chime in terms of that?
I mean, I tried to get a look at the opening lines before the show, and I didn't see anything. So, like you said, I haven't got that far.
Yeah, I saw. I think
Sean?
It's like going to be around a pick 'em one there. I was looking at. I don't know, man. Looks a little light. Maybe a little South Carolina action there in that matchup. I don't know. Yeah. Call me crazy.
Mississippi State off to a good start this year.
They're both Carolina's 12-1 too, so it's
yeah. I'd have to look at.
I got to think and see who they played.
Is it strength of schedule comes into play there, Sean? Maybe that accounts for. I don't know. Anyway, yes, I haven't got there yet myself, so I'm not even going to comment on that. Seth said Chicago will cover +3 tonight. The Chicago Bulls. I don't have any thoughts.
That the Bears? That might be the Bears +3.
Okay, Chicago Bears +3. All right. Yeah.
I think so.
We already gave our opinions on that game. Sean likes the over in that game. Jesse likes the over in that game. I like the over in that game. None of us have taken the side in that game. And again, I don't disagree with you, Seth, because of the reasons I mentioned to Jesse. You have the number 2 team rush offense, I should say, in all the NFL in Chicago. And you have the number 28 ranked rush defense in Green Bay. At some point, I think that will come into play. But the Packers playing at home with a chance to win. And the Packers, by the way, Jesse, you like this kind of stuff. 9-0 straight up in ATS in their last 9 in the series against Chicago. Ninja, another one. Mullins is better than whatever they got. We already addressed that. Fins up. Good luck with that. Miami will beat Buffalo. Good luck with that, Seth. You're not going to get a reaction out of me. I'm done giving reactions. And I don't want to, people get worried that I'm going to have a heart attack. Look, bottom line is, folks, if you don't know me by now, I'm not the guy on the Saturday Night Live, the Bears fans that, always were on an IV and had something hooked up to them, an EKG hooked up to them all the time, every time the Bears lost or because they ate too much. So, Seth, Josh Allen will be the reason Miami wins. Well, yeah, Seth, yeah, it could be, because usually when Buffalo loses, he's more times than not, he's the reason because he plays hero ball. But you've obviously made your case you like Miami, so leave it alone. Okay, I'm not going to address any more of this Miami Buffalo with you. Yeah,
that's what happens. That's what happens when you got a guy who's tied for second in the league in interceptions with 14 behind Sam Howell.
Mm-hmm. How many touchdowns has he accounted for, and who's a close second? Nola Face. Thoughts with Michigan wanting to immediately shorten the game and Penix Washington feeling things out, taking it first half under 28.5. I don't disagree with that. I just had mentioned in my first half pick on Washington, the Wolverines have given up 10 points or fewer in all 14 games during the regular season and first half action. I also think that absolutely Michigan would be foolish not to try to shorten this game on offense because sometimes your best defense is a ball control offense, and Michigan has proven to be that all year. Guys, any other further thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's clearly going to be the strategy coming into the game, but I guess we're going to learn a lot in the first 5 minutes. And if I was Washington, I'd want the ball first, and I'd want to march down that field. And I've got a lot of faith in both Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix to execute on the scripted drives, to have that game plan, to have a whole bag of tricks because I think getting off to a fast start is absolutely imperative for for Washington for this very reason, because
Yeah.
you go and score a touchdown in the first 2 minutes, you then get the ball back and you go up 10-0 or 14-0 or 7-0, puts the kibosh on this whole strategy you're talking about. And it's, I guess, in the words of the great Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly right. And so let's move on here. John Putnam, is there a site to get advanced lines on hoops a day before games, or is it KenPom? KenPom really isn't giving us the lines on the games, but me and Sean have told you on several occasions we're a proponent of using them when we're looking ahead. For example, tonight's card is light. We know tomorrow's card is going to be heavy, and that's a good indicator. There more times than not, KenPom, if they're not right on the nose, is going to be in the neighborhood when it comes to the opening line. Sean?
Yeah. Because I like doing it because you can go days out and just kind of get a head start on his numbers, which they really don't change too much if there's a game played in between Wednesday and Saturday. But it's imperative. It's just there's so much action out there, and sometimes FanDuel, DraftKings put games up early, and if you're good with your numbers, you could crush those lines because they're terrible. They do not know what they're doing. Even in football, they put up bad lines and they leave them up there for a day. It's easy pickings.
Jesse, any thoughts?
Allen's not a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
About Josh Allen?
No, about John Putnam. Seth, obviously, you're having a tough day. Nobody's paying attention to you.
Here he comes. He's got like a little. He's got a little organ grinder, a little monkey. So
yeah, I just want you. I just want to know that me, especially, I was very attentive to you today. I hope that the rest of the world joins me because you're definitely having a problem with attention. I'm sorry, my friend.
Maybe he's just a Miami. Maybe he's as much as a Miami fan as
I Bills fan. I'm saying this with undue certainty that Seth is definitely in need of attention today, and I want to give it to him.
He can't be a Dolphins fan.
But listen, Seth, I'm only on for another 20 minutes. Okay, so you're going to have to deal with the rest of the day without me. So either check yourself into a facility where they'll give you attention, or else you're going to have to deal with life without Ross in another 20 minutes. Gary Renninger.
You two guys are like Eagles fans.
Yeah, will Washington outrush Michigan?
No.
I would say not, but it depends, like Jesse said. If Washington jumps to a lead, Washington's very tough. I mean, obviously, when they jump to a lead, they're very tough. They're 14-0. But in the games that they've struggled this year, they weren't able to jump out to leads or multiple score leads, which did not take the opposition out of their game plan, or having to deviate from them, or having to play left-handed, or having to play to their weaknesses. Sean says no. Jesse, will Washington outrush Michigan?
I mean, you might as well just rephrase the question to will Washington blow them out? Because the only way they're going to outrush them is if they blow them out. That said, when you've got a Heisman caliber quarterback and three studs at receiver, it's not unfathomable that they could. I mean, if Michigan plays the way they did against Alabama, they probably get blown out. And that's going to sound funny because they beat Alabama, but they didn't actually play that well. They muffed punts, and I don't think they'll get away with that against Washington.
Missing field goals, extra points.
Yeah. I agree with you guys. John, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Actually, I did not use that on my premium side, but that was one of my wise guy picks last week. That was my 1-point play. And it certainly wasn't looking good at halftime when they were down 15. But boy, oh boy, what's up with the Eagles, guys? Man, oh man. Anyway, I'll never bet against a team with more players from the DMV. Go Blue and go Terps, guys.
That's a Maryland and Virginia area.
You know what they say about dead silence on a podcast? It's time to call it quits. Bears, okay. Preach. I will. I'm a real Dolphins fan since 1988. Yeah, Seth, you know what? I'm joking with you, buddy. If that's where your allegiance is, I get it. I lived in South Florida for 8 years, Matter of fact, at one point because of my business, I bought as a tax write-off for some clients down there. I bought Dolphins season ticket holders. I was a big Heat fan. So yeah, I've been down in South Florida. I get it, Seth.
He's got a Scott Mitchell jersey. Josh Allen is like Scott Mitchell. Send him a Scott Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly right. Josh Allen will be in the Pro Bowl because Tua will be too busy preparing for the Super Bowl.
He's gonna come out with that one.
Hey, Dan, here comes Dan. All right, what do we got to say, Dan? Would say those long-term trends of Green Bay over Chicago doesn't apply here. New teams, I'd argue the trend. Like I said, Dan, again, I don't know if you were listening. I said these are the types of trends that Jesse likes because he brought up the other one.
Unfair.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. In 90% of the when it comes to team trends, I do pay more attention, Dan. I could tell you this. When a team trend is under the same coaching staff that's been there for a while, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, Andy Reid, guys who've been with the same team, same coaching staff. I do pay more attention to those. At Green Bay, it's been the same. Matt LaFleur has been there for a few years now, but Chicago's been, over the last 9 meetings, would they have 3 head coaches? So I agree with that for certain. Okay, so we're on the same.
Let me have a chance to defend myself though, because the long-term trend
no problem
that I used had to do with totals and in correlation with a certain type of stadium, a certain type of playing surface.
Yep.
It doesn't so much matter about the difference in the personnel or the coaching staffs if the reason they're scoring more points is because they're doing so on a neutral site in an indoor stadium with artificial turf. If that's why that trend indicates higher scoring games. If it's just a fluke that they scored more points and it didn't have anything to do with the playing surface in the indoor stadiums, fine. But I was speculating about the surface making
that's like,
look, I prefaced it by saying it's a good question and a good point. But I also go back to what Dan just said. I mean, how many of those play again in the limited amount of times that they do play on Michigan on those types of surfaces or at a neutral site specifically. Okay. In the current roster, how many of those players attributed to those 16-5 to the over? I do agree with you. If it's in the last 2 years, it's with the same group of core players. Okay. But your point's well taken. If there's a tendency for a team to play on, to go over the total on natural turf, there's a correlation, right? Between they may have a lot of speed offensively, and that attributes to that. Sean, anything else you want to add to
I was going to say, like, let's be honest. We take this in consideration when your Saints and your Falcons and your Tampa Bays or whoever comes up and plays in Green Bay or New York or New England in this late November, December games for football, right? So you're coming out of a controlled atmosphere, fast turf into the elements. So why wouldn't it see even a ground pound team? You're coming off outdoor elements into a controlled. They always tend higher. That's just the way it is, and that's whether it's college or NFL. The domes are always the totals are a little higher than outside. It's conducive to that. There's no wind. Field goal. Guys can hit 65-yard field goals. Come on.
All right, here's my man. I don't want to even begin to try to not butcher your name. A Entertainment.
Hey, Sorelli.
Hey, Sorelli. Okay, there we go. Sean's good with that, and I'm good with that. Still can't legally sports bet in California. I drive 110 to 120 miles to Nevada, the nearest sports book. Will California ever fix this? Yet to be seen. What's the governor there, Newman? If he comes out of the salon once in a while and starts addressing the important things in the state of California, and the people there stop, they're the pro-Palestinian and the anti-vaccine and all the other stupid stuff that shouldn't say stupid stuff because the pro-Palestinian is life and death kind of thing. But my point is I think it's an absolute shame in the state of California, which is arguably one of the more richer states in our union. and also where the economy is among the richest in the country, and it's the most expensive to live. How could you not deprive the people of not being able to sports bet? I don't get it.
I think it's the top 10 economy of the world. In the world, it would rate up there. Their economy.
I'm not sure if that's a liberal thing, because I can't say that, because New York State, where I live, is typically a Democratic heavy state. So I don't know. Again, I think it's a shame. Any other thing you guys want to add to that, Sean and Jesse?
Jason really wants to entertain the idea of leaving California like everybody else with any common sense has done.
All right. So Dan chimes in again. I'm not talking totals. It was Aaron who owned them. I'm talking Bears losing all over the games. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And I think Jesse made that clear. I think he was deciphering the difference of what you said compared to what he said. And I agree with you, Dan. I made my point. I mean, the series is 9-0 straight up in ATS, but it means very little in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. DJO, help me out, Sean.
I have no idea. I think he just hit a button.
Okay. All right. Because, you guys are the king of knowing all these initials and these abbreviations. Completely agree with your takes on totals. Very true. All right. There you go, Dan. Does Tennessee knock off the Jags on Sunday? Looks like they may. Lawrence is questionable. I heard might be game time decision. I know that line got up to like 5.5 earlier in the week, a couple days ago, actually, guys. And now it's back down to 3.5, which would lead someone to believe that possibly Lawrence isn't playing. But your take on that game, if you research it any further than I did.
Listen, they are 4-3 at home. 2 of their losses are overtime losses. The other one's like a single field goal loss. Tennessee's, if you don't think that, and if Abrams the coach, I think the players they're not going to, I don't care that they're out of the playoffs. You don't think they want to go out of the season with a win, knock a team out of the playoffs and out of a division championship? I mean, you have Hill, Hopkins, and Henry could all be out of there after this year. You don't think he's going to be like, do whatever you want out there? Throw it around. I mean, this is Tennessee money line all day. The Jag. I mean, somehow the Jags showed up last week against Carolina, and shame on me for betting on Carolina. But
I tell you, I mentioned if Josh Allen got released, there'd be 28 or 30 other general managers calling out to get him. I tell you myself, if they were to get rid of Sean McDermott, the first guy on my list would be Mike Vrabel. I really, really like and respect his ability to get the most out of his team, Jesse.
My favorite Mike Vrabel quote is the lengths he would go to win a Super Bowl. I don't know if Sean can get that one. What Mike Vrabel would be willing to give up for a Super Bowl.
I didn't know what he said. I'm sure.
Why don't you share it with us? Or is this another one of those 7 words we can't use on YouTube?
No, you can tell everybody he cut off his left nut to win a Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Sean's already done that. He had a big bet a couple years ago, and he already did that, and he still lost. Anyway, facts. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. We like to think that's all we share amongst strong opinions as well. Classic Ross, yes, California's messed up. Loitering is no longer illegal, so you can pick up a hooker, but you can't bet on games. Something morally wrong with that, buffoon. Thoughts on the Knicks?
It makes you upset. Like lead and drugs are legal there, but you can't bet on a game. I don't.
Yeah, and again. Weed is legal, and that's okay. I am.
They hand out hypodermic needles and heroin in San Francisco, bro. What are you talking about?
Exactly right. So people don't get AIDS from.
God forbid you get hepatitis.
Or
they don't have hepatitis, even though you're crapping on the sidewalk. It's all
right, and you can check it for fentanyl, so you don't die on the spot. So it's like running a alcoholics clinic and just saying, "Come on in, we'll give you a free light beer." Jeff Hunter, thoughts on the Knicks 76ers game tonight? Was thinking Philadelphia on the money line. Boys, help me out.
Philly money line, what are they, like 260, 7.5?
That'd be right in Jesse's range. And go ahead.
Oh my! Look at this guy throwing haymakers on the show today. Holy cow!
Anyway, no, Jesse doesn't go quite that high. But guys, any thoughts? Also, kidding aside.
I mean, the movement tells me the over.
All I can say about the Knicks is I'm still confused as to what they were doing trading away those players. Yeah, that trade doesn't make any sense to me from a Knicks. I mean, I know they really covet OJ, but couldn't you get him for cheaper? I mean, Toronto had to get rid of him because they weren't going to be able to sign him, and you're going to give up two pretty good players. I think Toronto got to steal it.
Yeah, as Sean would say, that, when he's in one of those 50-50 streaks, he's spinning his wheels. The Knicks have been spinning their wheels for the last 2 decades. How many teams win after playing
This is
Alabama?
a good point. This is a good point. Yeah. This has always been a statistic that the week after an Alabama game is tough on people.
Let down spot.
Well, there's 2 ways to look at this, I think, guys, right?
That's a regular season. Yeah, I was going to say, regular season and somebody plays them tough.
SEC, mostly
that's
an
one
SEC
thing. A team that, they lose, maybe they lose 1 game a year, Alabama. Let's be honest. They sometimes lose 1 game a year. So that's a huge thing. Where now you're talking in the playoffs, totally different. I think it's a different kind of animal.
The only thing I would say, I agree with you 100%. Distinct difference between playing a national championship game after beating Alabama in a semifinal. Okay.
Both teams should be looking to be a letdown, right? Both teams would be in a letdown kind of spot.
How are you in a letdown when you're playing for the national championship? Now, the only thing, Jesse, that I would say might contribute to that factor of Alabama taking a lot out of a team, not so much emotionally because of what I just said, but physically, So, Jesse, you have any thoughts in that regard?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if Michigan plays the way they played against Alabama, I think they're going to lose. Of course, everything that sort of can go wrong did go wrong for Michigan with the muff punts and the missed extra points and a lot of poor execution. But I mean, they're facing a dangerous team and a dangerous team that's at the top of their game. So
yeah, and as you guys pointed out, and correctly so, it's not like Alabama executed great either. How a team like Alabama in always contending for a national title, and the kid has got to be a good blocking center. He's got to be able to call line adjustments better than anybody else they have on the roster, because I just don't know how you have a center at that caliber of a program that mishandles shotgun snaps so much. It's mind-boggling. That's because Gavin Newsom. Yeah, I agree. That's what I was just saying. The governor of California. He's if you think Sean likes to hear himself talk, you should listen to this guy. Lost on the 49ers too many times. Okay. 49ers game opens 2.5, is up to 4 right now. Certainly seems there's a lot more on the line, Sean, for the Rams than there is the 49ers.
Nobody wants to bet on Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I love Carson Wentz. Give me some Carson Wentz.
Jim Quinn. Jim, you like Carson Wentz, right? I know he does. Jim, give us a thumbs up. Do you like Carson Wentz? There's our owner, Jim. All right. As long as Jim likes Carson Wentz, that's all that matters. All right.
How are the Niners playing anybody more than a quarter or two? I know they got a bye week. You play your guys a little bit. I think the Rams more want to kind of keep the flow going. They're putting up points. I don't think you. I get you rest the quarterback, but I don't think you sit everybody else. You're playing really well. Why would you want to come in here and lay an egg or just get totally destroyed?
Can't the Rams improve their position at all?
I think they could go from 5 to 6 or something, a little bit. I mean, obviously there's like everything. It's like the Steelers game. Steelers could win and still tie if something else happens. Like it's way too much. A team you should be looking to win a game. I don't think the Rams are a team. Even though they had 9 wins and a nice season, should they be like, we could just cruise into Detroit next week and beat the Lions? Like, you're playing really good, putting up a bunch of points, playing well. Why do you want to mess up that flow? Keep the momentum going.
I just mentioned
the Niners will sit guys.
I have Michigan in my Wise Guy contest for 3 points. I have the San Francisco 49ers. I got them at 2.5 before the line moved. They're up to 4 right now. So I got them as my 1-point play. John Putnam comes in here. North Carolina opening books. They said hopefully by March Madness this year's. And well, the timing of that certainly will pay dividends for the state of North Carolina, knowing how basketball crazy they are.
Well,
but North Carolina,
New Jersey,
let me finish. Okay, let me finish, bud. Then you can talk. I mean, North Carolina is, without stereotyping, is the Bible Belt. Okay, and if they could get legalized sports betting, why can't California? Come on. Okay, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
Well, if they're like New Jersey and they're going to come and say you can't bet on schools in the state, then you can't bet on your Dukes and your North Carolinas and all these schools in the NCAA tournament, or just regular basketball games during the year. So
we can't bet on
New Jersey. Oh, you can't bet on, So as nice as that is, you can't bet on Carolina to win it or Duke to win it or Miami.
Stop and think about it. What sense does that make?
People want to bet on their favorite team. They want to,
So now what are they going to do? You think that they're not going to find an illegal source to bet on their team if they really want to? Come on, man. Give me a freaking break. It's like you hypocrites in the NCAA, if you have anything to do with it. You were totally against sports betting. All of a sudden, your ears opened up and your eyes widened when the prospect of receiving 1% of the revenue that comes in, now all of a sudden, we have sports books being advertised in college football stadiums. You're able to bet live inside a college football stadium. Jesse, your thoughts?
I have no thoughts, Ross. No thoughts.
You have no thoughts. And once in a while, I don't know if I would ever get that answer out of Sean. So I applaud you, Jess. No thoughts. Anyway. All right. Never. So, boys, it's time to wrap it up. And I pick on Sean all the time, but I love him. And it's all in good fun. And he gives it back to me. Trust me, he gives it back to me twofold. That's the relationship we have here on air, off air. He's a good friend of mine, and I love him. I'm not going to do a Joe D'Amico and say you're my best friend I've ever had since 1941. But by the way, Joe D'Amico, him and his wife, they've gone 0 for 6 combined in the last 3 weeks of the Wise Guy tournament. Clutch handicapping. Anyway. Until the next time, Jesse Schule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. But before we go, there's a like button, and Jesse's going to tell you what to do with it.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, folks. If not, just like the like button. It's good. Just touch the like button. That's good enough. Just a small token of your appreciation for all the work, time, and effort we put into making this a successful podcast and to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. I will be back on Monday with Doug Upstone. Sean and Jesse will be back with me on Tuesday. Guys, have a great weekend. Take care and God bless.